Today we're going to take a look at my 2016 Ford Interceptor utility and a couple of things I've done to it. Quite a few of the changes are just things in software using a program called ForScan and a little utility that plugs into the OBD2 port. It reprograms certain settings, changes the way things behave. Some of the things that I've changed with that program and that tool include the ability to toggle what they call dark car mode or silent mode, as well as change how long the auxiliary power points stay on after you turn off the car and take the key out. So I installed both a front and a rear dash cam. Really installing it on the front was nothing special, just routing the cord, you know, down through the A-pillar and over to the cigarette lighter. On the back I did have to add a 12-volt power point since there was none there, but using ForScan I was able to change the PowerPoint timeout setting, and that way when I park the car and get out, the cameras will keep rolling for however long I want. So there's a couple ways you can do the dark car or the silent mode. One of them is through the BCM, I think that's the body control module. The other's through the IPC, I think that one's the instrument panel, computer or cluster, something like that. So I chose to do it through the IPC, and the reason is because if you do it here, you can actually toggle it on and off. So here's an example of it each way. First we'll do with dark car disabled, the normal way. So if I lock it, it'll honk. If I unlock it, the parking lights will come on. Tail lights and the interior up there at the map. Now we'll switch dark car on. And now if I double lock it, you can hear the locks actuate, but it doesn't honk for feedback. And if we unlock, no parking lights, no map lights, and no tail lights. So most of the time I leave the silent mode disabled. It's nice to have those courtesy lights and you know, the horn honk confirmation, just so you know you locked it. There's really not a ton of scenarios where you really need to turn silent mode on. If you're trying to sneak up on somebody, or don't want to be seen, or if you're going to hang out in the car, then that would be a good use for it. One of the other things you use ForScan for is to set up programming a key. Now you can't actually program the key fob itself without the help of a dealership, but you do make a change here in the IPC. I believe it's settings, vehicle locks, and then you can change how the vehicle reacts when you push buttons on the key fob. So there's the relock. That one is if you remotely unlock it with this button on the key fob and then don't enter the vehicle, after some time it'll relock the doors for you in case you just say bump that key fob in your pocket, didn't actually intend to unlock the car. There's also a place in here where you can configure which doors get unlocked when you push the unlock button on the key fob. But as far as actually programming that remote fob, that does have to be done by a dealership. Another one of the changes, and it's nothing major, but you can go in and you can actually see the, where is it? Intelligent all-wheel drive. You can see the power to each wheel in real time, or close to real time. It's really not something I find myself staring at a whole lot, but I figure it doesn't cost anything to turn it on, so why not? And also I changed, when you flick the turn signal, the number of blinks it does. So I think the only other thing that I was tinkering with in software is the compass setting, just so you can get the directional heading, you know, north, south, east, west. After making the change, I found that it does show N on the screen, N for north, when you first start up, but shortly after that it goes away, and it doesn't come back. It doesn't ever change. It doesn't show anything other than N. So I'm fairly sure that you do need some other piece of hardware, possibly related to the Sync 3 or the GPS navigation module. So this was one of a group of about 25 from a upfitting company that installs the lights and sirens and that sort of thing in them. But anyway, they ended up going to a dealership. That's where I picked it up from. So this was considered used. Really, it had 75 miles, not 100, 75 miles on it. Considered used, and that's why I was able to pick it up. So as far as things that I've installed in here, we've got the center console. When you first get these, it just has a solid steel plate, just kind of a placeholder, and there's no compartments, there's no cup holders, there's no armrest, nothing like that. So I got this Gamber Johnson console, and it's got a mount for tablet, which I just use for navigation. It's got a lock box here, so you can put things in if you have it serviced or anything like that, or run into the store even, you want to keep them somewhat safe. It's a pretty rinky-dink lock. So I did actually wire up my radar detector into the map light overhead. That was just so that I didn't have any kind of cord running down into the cigarette lighter. As a result of wiring it into that point, it does receive power as soon as you unlock the car or open the door. And then the power stays on after you shut the car off, stays on for 10 more minutes, and then automatically turns off. So then jumping out here, I'll show you a couple of the things that I've actually installed as opposed to configuration changes in the software. So the first thing right off the bat is the Satina PV300 push bumper. Basically that's just so I can park by touch, or if I ever need to push anything around. Moving around to the back, I've added a class 3 hitch, which is just if I want to tow something small, like a small utility trailer for kayaks. That's about the only thing I ever pull with it. I've also got a tow recovery hook and strap. That way if I need pulled out, or if I need to attempt to pull something small out, I could do that. But yeah, I'm not pulling anything big by any means. So then here's the 12-volt power point that I installed back here. It's pretty nice. There's just a little plug from the factory you just pop out with a hammer and a screwdriver. And I use that to power my rear dash cam here that's mounted up on the lift gate. So to get access in there, I popped off this little panel that's under the fire extinguisher, just to help me get a hand in there and pull the cable and kind of fasten some things. So this is the 3.7 liter 2016 Ford Interceptor utility. It is not the twin turbo one. The 3.7 liter is way more common from what I've seen than the 3.5 twin turbo EcoBoost. I think it's got plenty of power. I've never driven the 3.5. I'm sure obviously it's faster, but there's nothing wrong with this at all. So there's a pretty good video out there already about the quirks of this car. It's by a channel called Turbo 2 LTR, Turbo 2 liter. So go check that out. It does a great job covering all of the little oddities about it. I'm actually pretty sure that the car that he got was one of the ones right off the same dealership. From everything that I've seen, it's identical to mine. So And I saw it with the license plate bracket from the dealership. It's the same dealership. So we're brothers. I got this because it was a great price. It had all-wheel drive, more cargo room than my Neon, and it was basically a brand new car, so something dependable that I could count on for a long time to come. So my favorite thing about this compared to the 2005 Neon that I had before is just how far along the computer systems have come in these and how much programmability there is. And I'm really thankful to, I don't know if it's one guy or gal or a group or whoever created the Forscan software, F-O-R-S-C-A-N. Sounds like something else, but Forscan, it's given me a lot of flexibility to get in there and just kind of tweak, which is really neat. You can just get in and basically flip bits, zeros to ones or vice versa, and change the way the vehicle behaves, which is freaking awesome. So yeah, shout out to whoever is responsible for Forscan. Thank you guys very much. So I know there's some other people out there who've done videos like this. I don't know if there's any questions that anybody has, or if everything's been answered at this point. But if there's anything you want to see, any questions, the way anything works, just throw it out there, and I will be happy to make a video about it.